Today's talk is about honesty. And to understand something that's really important, I think we need to go to Genesis. And it's Adam and Eve's reaction when they first sin, when they first do what God asked them not to do. And what is it they do? God says, you can eat from any tree in the garden except the tree of knowledge of good and evil. If you eat that tree's fruits, you will surely die. And what did Adam and Eve do? They listen to the devil, they listen to the serpent, and they go and they eat the fruit. And their immediate reaction, their instant reaction, is to go and hide and cover up their shame with fig leaves, essentially. They realize their nakedness. They realize that they're vulnerable, and they're ashamed of their vulnerability. They're ashamed of themselves. They're ashamed to be seen. And that's really the essence of it, is they're ashamed to be seen. They're afraid to be seen. And so what they do is they go and hide. And I think that's super, super relevant in our relationships with people as well. How so? Well, in a healthy family, here are some things that you can always do. In a healthy family, you can always be honest. Even when you make a mistake, you can always be honest. In a healthy family, you don't have to jostle and fight for love. You are accepted as you are. You are loved where you're at. And in a healthy family, you can love and you can be loved. And you can trust your family. So there's trust, there's love, there's transparency and honesty. Those things are normal. In an unhealthy family, you may feel like you have to lie to fit in. You may feel like you have to jostle and fight for position, for recognition, for attention, for affection. You may feel like you have to battle to get love. In an unhealthy family, you don't feel like you can trust people. So you are not transparent. In a healthy family, you never have to lie. You never have to perform to fit in. You never have to be worthy of love, fight to become worthy of love, however that looks in that family dynamic, to fit in. So what does that look like in life? Adam and Eve put on their fig leaves. Our fig leaves might be a high-paying job. It might be a source of fame, a lot of followers on Instagram. It might be a high position of social influence. It might be, in some way or another, being someone important. That's what those fig leaves might look like. Another thing is, along with the fig leaves, we might be pointing the finger. As soon as Adam gets confronted by God, he's like, oh, well, the woman, she told me to do it. And so he immediately points the finger. So we might be, and she points the finger at the serpent. And so that immediate reaction of, oh, it's someone else, it's someone else, it's someone else. Look at someone else, not me, right? So in an unhealthy family dynamic, there is that element of we're going to single people out and we're going to sort of make them the scapegoat. They're the ones that are getting picked on, because if they're getting picked on, I'm not going to get picked on. And in a healthy family, you never have to lie. You never have to lie. The Bible says it is through grace, not by works, that we are saved. It is through grace, not by works, that we are saved. God's love is not something that you can buy. It's not something that you can just earn. Why? Because you already have it. How can you get something that you already have? How can you earn and take something that you already have? You have God's love. It's just a matter of accepting it or rejecting it. And we have the free gift of salvation through Jesus Christ. And we have a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. That though we are sinful, Jesus Christ gave his life as a ransom for us and paid for us through his death on the cross to restore us to relationship with the Father, with God. And this destructive idea in society that you have to perform to fit in, that you have to be someone of influence to fit in, it's devastating. It's untrue. And it's not how a person should live. And I think a lot of people, when they are put in that place where they are taught that unless they, jump through the hoops of flame, unless they perform the balancing act on the tightrope, then they aren't going to be loved. Their heart is under attack, and it can start to become hard and cold, and the love will stop flowing, because even though on the outside they appear of influence and stable and all of these things, on the inside they know full well that this adoration that they're getting is not really love. It's something else. And the Bible says that something to the effect of the Lord gives sight to both the oppressed and the oppressor. I think that's a very wise and just interesting thing to think on. The oppressed and the oppressor. And I think this applies to this too, whether you are someone who is receiving a lot of affirmation and attention because of your status or your position or this or that, or you're someone who's receiving no love or attention because of your status or position. A beggar versus a rock star. The crowds are celebrating the rock star, and people are just everyone wants to be around the rock star. But the beggar is on the side of the street watching cars pass him by. And both have sight into something in society that is unfair and that is wrong, and that is that someone is loved more or less based on their position, based on their outside of their cup. And they're coming over here to mow right when that's funny. Based on the outside of their cup, right? Even just now, just an example of that. This video. Skylar, why are you keeping this video with people mowing outside your car, like right next to you? That doesn't look very professional. That looks stupid. That looks, am I going to value what's said more or less because of a little bit of background noise? That element it's invasive into so many small aspects of our daily life. And I think something that is at the crux, at the core of it all, is what do I value? Because what I value is going to be what I value in other people. What I want is going to be what I want to see in other people. So, say I am someone who grew up with a lack of love in home, and I was constantly trying to prove myself to my parents. Like, I was never good enough. This. I'm not, my family's not that way, but I'm saying, say that's someone, that's something that I grew up in. Okay. When I go out into the world, and I'm believing this lie that I have to perform to fit in, and I sort of slave away at whatever, avenue to that affection that I never got, that I can find. a football star. I'm going to be a Super Bowl quarterback. I'm going to be the name the crowds chant. Why? Affection, attention, care, love, seeming love, right? I'm going to find that stability that I did not get. I'm going to find that security, the affirmation that I did not get. What is it that I am valuing and that I am using to try to get there? The football quarterback, maybe it's fame. Someone else, maybe it's money. Their parents always pressured them about income, and you're less of a person based on the amount of a paycheck that you have, right? So if you have a larger paycheck, then you're more valuable to society. If you have less of a paycheck, you're less valuable to society. That's conditional love. Maybe it's even bullying. Maybe it's picking on other people to fit in, putting other people down to avoid being the odd one out because you're afraid of getting bullied again. You're afraid of being the odd one out. You've been taught that when it's singled out, being singled out hurts. Oh, it's painful to be singled out by a crowd. And maybe you join in and be the person singling other people out, Whatever it is, that lie of belief that I have to perform to fit in, it reveals a lot about what you value. So if you've been taught to value fame, if you've been taught to value wealth, if you've been taught to value position, right? Those things can become, in essence, okay, I see a beggar. What does that beggar have nothing of? They've got no fame, no money, no position. I see a rock star. What does a rock star have? A lot of fame, probably some money. A wealthy businessman, someone who's successful, a lot of money. Who do I want to spend time with more? The wealthy businessman or the beggar? Who do I want to spend time with more? The rock star or the beggar? Who do I want to spend time with more? The, writer or idol of some, the hero's idol, that archetype. Who's someone that inspires you? Who do you want to spend time with more? This person that has a lot of influence, or this person that has no influence. Those things reveal a lot about our heart. And on the same front, who do I value more? Who am I going to be more kind to? The rock star or the beggar? Who am I going to, the wealthy businessman or the beggar? And I think people that they value this and they shun this, what they don't realize is that they're right here. And they want to be up here. They're right here and they want to be up here. And I think a lot of people up here want to be here. Because whether you're here or you're here and you're trying to be up here, you're here and you're trying to be here, you see the lie much more clearly, or you start to see the lie much more clearly. And that lie is, I'm less of a human being because I don't have money, or people think I'm more of a human being because I have money. People think that, oh my gosh, life's so good because I have all this attention and affection and adoration, but I'm killing myself with drugs because I'm in pain and I'm hurting, and people don't care. People don't care. People don't care. And that is a intense thing to wrestle, is when you start to recognize, when you recognize that lie in society, that attention and affection and a lot of these things in the world are many places conditional to, in a biblical sense, you losing your soul to gain the world, you losing your childlike heart, your innocence to gain the world. It's like the life of someone who does everything they can to fit in society so that they have a less painful life because they've experienced an unbelievably painful life because they were themselves. They experienced pain and hurt in their family because they were themselves, and so they learn to hide. Just like Adam and Eve, they learn to put on fig leaves. But God's reaction to Adam and Eve, it's like, yes, there were consequences for their decisions, but he clothed them, and in the end, he sent his son, Jesus Christ, to die for our sinfulness and to pay our price that we deserve for our choices, our sin, our nature, to restore us to heaven, to relationship with him. And the Bible says that you will know, that Jesus says, they will know you are my followers by the way you love one another. Another verse, share your burdens, and in so doing, fulfill the law of Christ. And love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your strength, and then love your neighbor as yourself. If I do not have love, I am nothing more than a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And in all of this, we are to love people. And if you love someone, are you going to love them less when they say, hey, hey honey, say it's a husband to his wife or a wife to her husband, I'm really struggling and I need to talk to you about this, or this happened in my past, or this or this or this. Hey dad, I need to talk to you. This is relevant to me. I was struggling with a pornography addiction for a long time. And last month, I had a relapse. And I was really, really down. I was bummed. And I went to my computer and I didn't even want to go view, but I did because I was in pain and I was hurting, and I just wanted to numb my mind to this pain. And it was like, it was a drug. It was like a drug. And I had fought so hard for freedom. And so I ended up, after that, I took my laptop and I was going to throw it away because I had a laptop in my room, and that was just something I just couldn't. I didn't want that temptation there at that season in my life, at this time of my life. And my dad's downstairs on the TV, and my initial reaction is, oh my gosh, can I talk to him about this? Am I going to be judged? Is he going to assume I'm crazy or assume the worst? Or what's my dad's reaction going to be? Can I talk to him about this? What's he going to think if he sees me throwing this laptop away? He's going to ask why, and my head was kind of going through this, and I just said, you know what? I don't care about my position in my family. My dad has access to everything searched in the house anyway. I don't care about my position in my family. And I'm going to go tell my dad. And so I bring my laptop downstairs and I sit next to my dad and I say, Dad, I just want you to know I'm throwing my laptop away, and I want you to know why. And I told him why, and I told him where I was. And I threw my laptop away. And he said, son, I'm proud of you. He was proud of me that I made the right decision in turning from that old lifestyle and that addiction and sort of letting those old things die. And that was a very powerful moment. And I think we as people can become so afraid of being honest and vulnerable because we aren't perfect. We are not, no one on this earth except Jesus is Jesus. No one here is perfect. And everyone makes mistakes. You know, someone may not struggle with pornography, someone may struggle with drugs or, selfish ambition or jealousy or bitterness or anger or irritability or whatever it is. And when you beat one thing, you realize there's more, that you didn't recognize because you're so focused on this, you didn't notice this. Maybe you beat this issue, but oh my gosh, I've got so much just to learn about patience. And we never arrive until we're with Jesus at the end of it all, And it is so important to not believe the lie that you have to perform to fit in, to be able to share the things that you're ashamed about, to be able to talk about the things that you're struggling with, to be able to be completely, openly honest. And not just in the hard things too, but in the wonderful things. Wow, my day was so good. Or, this happened and it filled me with joy, or this happened. There's two sides of that too. And so the fruit of this talk that I hope whoever watches this sort of comes away with is, I hope that you feel and understand in your heart, not just your head, but in your heart, that you do not have to perform to be loved. That you don't have to be a scientist to be admired and cared about. That you don't have to be a rock star to be loved. That you don't have to be a wealthy person for your family to say that they love you, to treat you with love, to treat you with care. That you don't have to play a part in a play to have the crowds tell you that they care about you, to have someone tell you that they care about you. You don't have to be an actor. You don't have to lie. You don't have to, pick up your stone and throw it at someone else because you're afraid of being the odd one out. The easy way, the easy solution to avoid being the odd one out is to pick up the stone. It's to pick up the fig leaves. It's to pretend to be someone you're not. The easy solution is to lie. The hard solution is to be a willing victim. What do I mean by that? The hard solution is to know that someone is not going to love you if you're honestly and authentically yourself, but to still be honest and authentic, knowing that you're going to receive backlash for that. To be vulnerable and real with people, when being vulnerable and being real gets you nothing, and in fact loses you potentially everything. That is the hard solution. But it's the right solution. Because in a healthy family, you should never have to lie. And if you want to be a part of a healthy family, the first person, the only thing that you can control is you. You can't change someone else's beliefs. You can't force them to believe something different. And so if someone believes that you are less of a human being because you don't have a lot of money, or because you don't have a lot of fame, or because you seem like the odd one out, or this or that. If someone believes that it's okay to bully you, if someone believes that vulnerability in others is something that they can jump on, that is, it's not something that you have control over. And it's not your fault either. But what you do have control over is you. You have control over you. As to the best of your ability, as much as you know yourself, you have control over you. And so you can choose to not be a part of that. You know, when it's like when I was a kid, I remember hearing kids, you know, you see someone fighting, you jump in, fight, fight, fight. You see someone getting picked on, you know, there's you see people gathering around them and picking on them too. You can choose to not join in. You can in fact choose to be the person who stands up for someone. The person who you wished stood up for you. You can be a person who's authentic. You can be that person in your family who people can go to, really go to, and receive love and support. Not fear and hurt and bullying and rejection, but love and support. You can be that person in your family that's trustworthy. You can be that person in your family that is humble and kind and sensitive and caring and loving. You can love people even when other people don't love you or don't love others. And you don't have to join in on that. And here's another thing to think about when it comes to, because when you experience that pain coming at you for being authentic and vulnerable, it's easy to close off your heart, and a lot of hurt can build up in here. It's easy to go up on a mountain, get away from everything, and just say, I don't want to deal with people anymore. I don't want anything to do with people anymore. People are terrible. People are horrible. I'm going to go and get my tent and live out in the woods. And I'm going to be resentful, and I'm going to be bitter, and I'm going to be cold, and I'm going to be cold-hearted. And when I see someone hurting and in need, I'm not going to be there for them, because no one was there for me. It's easy to become that person. It's hard to stay in community. It's hard to stay with people. And I want to finish this story with talking about the story in the Bible about Stephen, the stoning of Stephen. Stephen believed in Jesus, and this crowd of people, they drag him out into the synagogue, or into this place, and they just start picking up stones, and they're going to kill him. He's the odd one out. He believed in Jesus, and a lot of people were going to kill him for that. And he was guilty of there was nothing wrong they could really truly find that he'd done, that he deserved that. But they take him out there, and they sort of try to create whatever outrage that they possibly can. They manufacture outrage to get him killed, because they just don't like him. And they don't like what he stood for, and they don't like what he believed, and they don't want to accept Jesus. And Stephen is, as he's about to die, he says, "Behold, I see Jesus standing at the right hand of God." And the crowd, they pick up the stones, and they cover their ears in moral outrage, and they kill him. But before he dies, he says, "Lord, please don't hold this against them." Stephen understood something in that moment that is beautiful. And if you're someone, you've experienced bullying, you've experienced being let down, betrayed, hurt, if you've experienced in some form or another, perhaps not, in some form or another, feeling like there's a bunch of people, looking at you and they've got their stones up, and gossip and slander and verbal abuse and this and all these things coming at you, or even physical abuse. And you see the crowd and you see these stones coming at you. Stephen understood in that moment who is in more danger, truly, the person being stoned or the person picking up a stone to murder someone else. Who is in more eternal danger? Was it Stephen, or was it the people that thought it was okay to murder him? The people who thought it was okay to murder someone are the people who are in more eternal danger. And the Bible says, bless your enemies. Because often your enemies are in a lot more danger than you are. And realizing that can help you let go of a lot of that pain, because we say at our church, hurt people hurt people. Often people hurt other people because they were hurt first. And it doesn't make it right. Doesn't mean that we should allow it. Doesn't mean that it's okay. But this is something from the posture of our heart. And I'm saying, don't go in the woods. Don't get your tent and say, F the world, F people. I don't want anything to do with people. People are horrible. People are mean. People are cruel. People can be. Absolutely. But you don't have to be. You have control over you. And other people don't get to decide who you become and who you are. You are not meant to be a monster that goes out into the woods and sits there, like some strange thing that just can't be around people. You are not meant to be a cold-hearted person, and you don't have to go down that road of walling up, walling out, hardening your heart. You can keep a soft heart. You can keep love in here, because at the end of our life, the only thing that really matters is, did we have a relationship with Jesus Christ or not? Did we love our neighbor? So, no matter what life throws at you, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how brutal, no matter how cold it gets, keep this warm. Keep this full of love. And don't lose that.